As an aviation enthusiast, checking out all the prop aircraft that can be found in Canada has been a blast. Today, we'll be experiencing the last piece of the puzzle with WestJet Link on their Saab 340 from Cranbrook, British Columbia to Calgary, Alberta. This is going to be a blast, and I'm super excited for this. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. Welcome to Cranbrook Rocky Mountains International Airport on this beautiful July afternoon. This is my first time at a small Canadian airport, and Cranbrook has definitely surpassed my expectations. Check out the videos from this incredible layover if you missed them. Security took only around 5 minutes as our flight is the only one departing this evening, so with that said, let's go over to our gate and find our aircraft for tonight's flight. Docked up here at the gate is Charlie Golf Papa Charlie Juliet, a 26-year-old Saab 340. This aircraft is so unique in various ways, and I'm stoked for this flight. So let's go ahead and get on board, everybody. Welcome to Seat 1F, everybody. As you can tell, this view is absolutely incredible and will prove powerful for this flight over to Calgary. With that being said, let's go ahead and push back and taxi out to runway 34 for our departure today, everybody. One of the reasons that I chose Cranbrook for this itinerary was to do my very first back taxi. I'm super excited for this as we'll taxi down the runway and turn around on runway 34 to get ready to take off. This is going to be super cool and I'm really excited for this. So let's go ahead and begin this back taxi, everybody. And here we go for our takeoff on runway 34, everybody. I really hope you all enjoyed this takeoff as it was absolutely fantastic. Let's get into it, everyone.
Runway 34 for departure out of Cranbrook, British Columbia, service to Calgary, Alberta for the very first time. Here we go.
Alrighty, everybody, let's climb up to our cruising altitude and establish various components of this really cool segment from Cranbrook to Calgary. So first and foremost, just how about all those views, man? This is such a cool geography, airport, and just the landscape overall. So definitely so glad that I was able to utilize this airport for the layover in the connection from the Air Canada Dash 8 to this Westjet Saab 340, which proved to be one of the most powerful flights of the trip for several reasons. So let's definitely just go ahead and get started and talking about it. So we'll establish some of the baseline principles for what you would expect from most other flights in the world. So obviously, first and foremost, you did have a service on this flight, so there was a snack that was given out, which was pretty impressive. I think this is only about a 45-minute segment, so I was definitely impressed to see that. So that was cool, and I think they were also offering water, tea, and coffee as well. So really awesome to see that. So that was really fun. Also, definitely want to note, I know I just talked about the views a little bit. Well, let's get a little bit more into that. Just the thunderstorms that were going on over there on the east side of the aircraft were just absolutely spectacular. So obviously, with the really unique Rocky Mountain geography landscape, you're obviously going to see that pretty commonly, where there's not many clouds over the mountain area sometimes, but at the same time over there way out in the distance you'll see some thunderstorms. So that was definitely a huge pro to sitting on the east side of the aircraft. This was a really tough one to choose which side to sit on because the east side had all that going on. I was expecting it to probably be pretty good during that time of the year, whereas the west side had the sunset. So that was a tough one, but I decided to go for the east side just in case we landed early in the Calgary and could see the sunset there. But it all ended up working out anyway because thunderstorms just were roaming Calgary around the area, so no sunset anyway, but we ended up getting the really good side and all that worked out really well. So that was absolutely wonderful. But yeah, these mountain peaks are just so cool to see from the air. Obviously, there's not many segments in the world where you pretty much fly over them for the entire duration of your flight. So pretty much up until right at Calgary is when we saw mountains on this flight, and it was so cool to see different geography peaks and all that as well, and obviously how the wind and aloft conditions are. So all that was super fun. It definitely made for a very interesting and really exciting flight. So I filmed a bunch. So you'll see a bunch of B-roll throughout this assessment today. But overall, it was really great. Let's talk about the seat here. Pretty good padding, honestly, for a 26-year-old aircraft. I was kind of surprised to see that, but I'm not surprised now that I really think about it because it's like, yeah, Saab 340s are really cool old aircraft types, and you can't find them many places throughout the world. Obviously, Westjet and Pacific Coastal have them here in Canada. In Australia, they have a handful, and then there's some other places around the world where you'll still find the Saab 340 operating, but it's not every day you're going to run into one. So certainly feeling super fortunate to run into the Saab 340 today, and obviously it's super unique with the engine cowling, the engines themselves, and all the other various pieces to the puzzle. So overall, really enjoyed this experience, and it was absolutely awesome. So getting back to the seat though, it was honestly pretty good. So I definitely enjoyed it, and it's definitely adequate for the shorter flights that they fly from Calgary to cities like Cranbrook, Medicine Hat, and others. So really awesome to get to establish that right there, and it was definitely adequate. We do have the safety card as well, which is pretty basic. It is Pacific Coastal themed, so that's really cool because obviously these aircraft are Pacific Coastal planes and operated by them. So with that said, it's definitely now time to talk about what's going on with the Westjet Saab 340s that are operated by Pacific Coastal Airlines. And unfortunately, these aircraft will be heading back over to Pacific Coastal valid October 26th because that's going to be it for WestJet's affiliation with them. They've had the WestJet Encore and Link brand. The Link brand has been around since June of 2018, but that will be getting reintegrated back into WestJet Encore as WestJet wants to move it all to in-house and start moving towards more efficient operations. So they'll be moving all their operations to less frequencies on the bigger WestJet Encore Q400 aircraft. So cities like Cranbrook will now be seeing that service. So instead of it being 3 times a day, Cranbrook particularly will be moving to an 11 weekly service. So on popular days, they'll have 2 daily, whereas the lighter days will just be 1 flight. So it is a huge capacity jump, so that definitely makes sense. But it's super sad to see these Saabs go. Again, they have been a powerful asset for nearly 3 decades in that region. So crazy to think about that. Obviously, these WestJet Saabs are really unique aircraft, and it's one of the few large carriers remaining in the world that still operate the Saab 340. So it's going to be a little bit sad. They did only have 5 of them, and you could only find them to a handful of destinations like Medicine Hat and Cranbrook. But with that still said, it's still crazy to think that, we're getting down to the last legacy carriers operating some of these prop aircraft as we continue to move towards more efficient aircraft. I mean, obviously, it's not what it was even 10 years ago because especially aircrafts like the EMB 120s have just become non-existent in any North American aviation. So luckily, though, Canada still has their fair share. Pacific Coastal has the Beechcraft aircraft and the Saabs, so that's super cool, and I'm eager to see how long they'll continue to operate those. And obviously, the Dash 8s remain with Air Canada and WestJet, which is super cool and beyond. So it is still crazy to think about all this, though, and what the future landscape will look like for the props in Canada, but particularly for WestJet, I think it makes sense to move to these Dash 8 aircraft that are only less than 10 years old for the most part, anywhere from 8 to 15 in the general landscape. So I definitely think it will be helpful for them going forward, and I think this business model will really do them well. So I'm eager to see how it goes, but it'll definitely be interesting to see cities like Cranbrook transition from 3 daily flights to just 2 or even 1 a day. So definitely will be a little bit different for those communities, but I think it will prove powerful, and quite frankly, the product is better on the Dash 8. So all of it makes sense moving forward, and that's just kind of where we're going. But yeah, as of for the Cranbrook to Calgary route, this aircraft historically has been operated by WestJet for a very long time. Recently, in recent times, it's been the 3 daily Saab 340s, but as I just said, it will be moving to 11 week Q400s. So definitely will be a big transition, but we're seeing this quite a bit with airlines, as the lighter capacity aircraft continue to become extinct, we're going to see more and more capacity jumps, so less frequencies will probably be present unless they're just going to up it all. So there's been various examples of this all across North America and the world. but WestJet's definitely exhibiting that with this major change from the Saab 340s to now the Dash 8s. So definitely really interesting to think about that. But overall, I really enjoyed my experience on WestJet. This was kind of a shorter flight and obviously operated by Pacific Coastal, so it's kind of tough to really get down to the details of how good WestJet actually is. I would love to fly one of their 737s or mainline offerings, on a longer service to really get a grasp for it. Maybe we'll see. But WestJet has had pretty good fares. I was just looking for fun the other day, and they had a flight from Atlanta all the way to Vancouver on a Saturday night for $50, which I was just like, wow. I mean, that's really cool. So they have those, and obviously plenty of flights inside of Canada that are very affordable as well. So definitely a really great airline it appears to be, and I definitely hope to make my return to Canada here in the near future to try some of these mainline brands, and also really curious about airlines like Flair and Air North. So Canadian aviation's never complete as a US enthusiast, and there's just so much to do and so many exciting pieces to the puzzle. But I'm super glad that I prioritized these prop aircraft, as you can see, the WestJet Saab 340 was gone just a little over a year after I was able to fly it. So very powerful for sure, and there's absolutely no doubt about that. So again, this is a really solid seat. Product was really good. Definitely recommend going over for any of you that want to fly any of the Beechcrafts or Saabs or any of them, and definitely do it with Pacific Coastal. They got the various aircraft types, and it's a really cool operation, so I can't recommend that enough. Obviously, Harbor Air has their twin otters and single otters on floats, as we've talked about in the past, so definitely check those out too. And then the Dash 8s are also wonderful airplanes, as well as there's no major carriers in the U.S. flying those at this time. So plenty to do with Canadian aviation, even the 737 Classics for Air North and others. So this really encapsulates what has been an awesome Canadian aviation sector, as this is our last airline from Canada we'll be checking out during this trip, and I'm very excited to return in the future. It's never a completed puzzle, that's kind of obvious, so I'm excited to go back. Definitely want to knock out the Air North 737 Classics before those are gone, and as I said, try airlines like WestJet, Lynx, and Air Canada on their mainline offerings to gain a better understanding. But there's going to have to be some float aircraft in there and some other props as well, because how could you not when Pacific Coastal's $45? And I think this one was about $100, so it was a little bit higher, but still a very fair offering for sure. And overall, I was very happy with the investment. So yeah, beautiful views. I hope all of you have enjoyed them. And overall, just the Canadian aviation aspect of this trip has been so much fun to evaluate. Model stores, plane spotting, the unique aircraft types, it goes on and on. And what's even more exciting is that we're going to continue to go on as we have plane spotting coming up at Calgary. So I'm super excited for that. And then from there, we're also going to have a video on Calgary Airport and the really cool model aircraft storefront there in Terminal 2. So super excited for those videos, so stay on the lookout for them. And that will take us straight into our flights on United from Calgary to Indianapolis via the airport of Chicago O'Hare. So we'll have plane spotting there along with the United Club. So this trip's not quite over yet, which is crazy to think about. But as for the Canadian aspect, it's been super cool. I'm excited to finish it out strong with what we have at Calgary. And definitely check out the previous videos if you haven't got a chance to do so already. But anyway, this was a really cool aircraft. I'm so glad that we got to experience it. The cockpit was a really cool view in there to get to see that from seat one. You could see the overhead panels and the steam gauges and all that. So safe to say that the aircraft definitely has seen its time, but it's so cool that they continue to maximize its value, along with the engine, the startup, the kind of little nose wheel tilt del. That was super cool. And then just overall the unique characteristics of it. The horizontal stabilizers having an angle like a Bonanza, so that was really interesting to kind of see right there. And then it's just a very unique aircraft in general. The size of it, about 30, or was it 35 or 50 seats? I'm forgetting now. I'm thinking it was maybe 35. But anyway, it's such a unique aircraft, and overall, I really enjoyed getting to check it out and see what it was all about. And it flew really well, so that was super awesome, as you can see in these views, the takeoff and the epic landing that's coming up into Calgary here. So we had to make a couple of circles due to thunderstorms, so that was pretty cool. So anyway, we were able to end up lining up with our runway here. So we'll go ahead and summarize today's flight and get into the details. So let's go ahead and do just that, everyone. Alrighty, everybody. So we're going to be landing on runway 17 right today here at the Calgary International Airport. So let's just give a little bit of a full analysis here on how this flight went. So really great link between Cranbrook and Calgary. Definitely very sufficient for the investment. Obviously, I think it's probably a 5, 6, 7, 8 hour drive, whatever it is. It's a pretty long drive, so this was definitely awesome that we were able to knock this out here with the flight, and it's a vital link to get people between the two places. So obviously super cool. It's kind of like flying from two different states, obviously, with it being British Columbia and Alberta, so that's another cool piece of the puzzle. But yeah, the Saab 340 is such a unique aircraft, again, from those horizontal stabilizers to the cockpit to, you know, how the wheel goes up and down a little bit. It is super cool, and it was really awesome to get to see all the various pieces of the puzzle, and I'm feeling super fortunate to be able to knock this out, especially now considering that that aircraft will be heading back to Pacific Coastal, and these will be moving over the Dash 8s, but there's still plenty of fun aviation to be had in Canada. Just because this aircraft's going to be going back to Pacific Coastal doesn't mean you can't fly Pacific Coastal with it. So if you're looking to knock out Beechcraft aircraft, Saab 340s, Dash 8s, whatever it is, you can certainly do so in Canada, and I'll be making additional videos on how to be able to do that, and we'll be comparing all 4 of the prop flights I did during this trip as well. So again, I hope all of you are excited for what's to come. Westjet, from what I was able to tell, was a really great airline. Excited to follow up on them, and it will definitely be an awesome time to say the least, and I'm super excited for it. But nevertheless, I really hope all of you are excited for this landing here into Calgary International Airport. It was an awesome one, really neat scenery, and overall it just all looked really cool. So with that being said, WestJet, thank you so much for the link. It was absolutely awesome. I hope all of you are excited for the upcoming content at Calgary with the model aircraft storefront, the plane spotting, along with the airport video itself. But nevertheless, we're just going to go ahead and land right into Calgary International Airport, everybody. I really hope all of you are excited for this. Let's go ahead and touch down. Welcome everybody to Calgary International Airport. What a unique landing that was. With that said, let's go ahead and taxi over to the regional jet gates, dock up, and conclude today's video. Thank you all so much for watching this trip report on the Westjet operated by Pacific Coastal Saab 340 from Cranbrook, British Columbia to Calgary, Alberta. Be sure to stay on the lookout for all the Calgary content to come from this leg of the trip, all of what's already came out from the Pacific Northwest excursion, and so much more content to come in the future. With that being said, that'll do it for today's video, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank each and one of you for watching. My name is Redriveraviation. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust the process. Do what you love and love what you do. My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as Redriveraviation is signing off.